Greetings, War Thunderers. This is Longshot with an update on how to fly the XP-55 Ascender in arcade. I covered this plane in a video back in patch 1.51, and at the time the plane had incredibly stiff controls and struggled to turn at all. Its tactics were very limited: boom and zoom but not at high speed due to control lockup, and clumsy rope-a-dopes. That was it. Fast forward to patch 1.55 and an old bug that made canard planes fly worse instead of better in arcade compared to realistic has finally been fixed. The XP-55's handling has been considerably transformed, hence the need for an updated video. Now, I know a lot of you don't own this plane, but my guess is a lot of its owners will drag their Ascenders out of mothballs when they realise what's happened, so it's good to know what you're up against if you see one of these in the sky. But before I get to its flight characteristics, let's take a quick look at its armour. Previously the pilot was protected by a steel plate and armoured glass, but now both the plate and glass are classed as wood, providing absolutely no protection in head-ons. The plane's now extremely vulnerable in head-on attacks, and not only because of the change to its armour. But I'll get to the other reason later on. First, let's take a quick look at its handling, beginning with the roll rate, and I'm comparing it to the Spitfire 2B. You can see the XP-55 is a bit faster. And I have a reason for comparing it to the Spitfire as well, as you'll soon see. Let's try its turn rate. Just elevators in a horizontal turn. And as the plane comes around, it can now turn extremely well with its elevators. It could not turn before at all. Now it is out-turning the Spitfire. Yes, your eyes do not deceive you there. It's almost catching its smoke trail. Let's see how it goes with the rudder and elevator both together. Now, previously the rudder was by far the stronger of the two controls. Now the elevator is. The plane wants to lift into a climb far more than it wants to turn to the side with the rudder. I mean, the rudders haven't changed. It's purely that the elevators are now far, far stronger than they ever were before. And now, as you can see, the plane can actually perform a very good spiral climb, which it could not in the previous patch. Doing this maneuver just puts you into a flat horizontal rudder turn. But now it's basically performing a climbing spiral very similar to how the Spitfire does it. Alright, let's see how they both go comparatively in the high-speed handling test, starting with the dive, looking at how the roll speed locks up as the plane accelerates. And as you can see, it's rolling far quicker than the poor old Spitfire there. Now, the reason I'm comparing it to a Spitfire, it has basically very similar weapons, although its cannons are on the wings, and it is ranked at 3.7. It is known as a bit of a clubber. So this plane at 3.0, with its cannon in the nose, plus a pair of 50 cals, well, you can see in good hands, this plane is going to be a nightmare. Okay, I've just shot down a biplane there. I didn't really stress its high-speed handling that much. Never mind, after this zoom climb test, I'll come back and give that another look and see how it really performs in a high-speed, long, flat boom and zoom. Anyway, in this climb, it's recovering about 2.2 kilometers before dropping below 200 kilometers an hour IAS. In my previous video, it recovered about 2.5, 2.6, but I started the climb at higher speed, so it's not a very good direct comparison. It performs a hammerhead without any problems whatsoever, turns over fairly smoothly and quite quickly. And okay, let's take it down to another dive. And I'll put its high-speed handling under a fair bit more stress, because there's something I really want to show you here. I'm going to deliberately maneuver the plane quite hard. I'm going to put through some pretty tough turns, and my shooting will be terrible because this is late night and I've got an old man's reflexes. But that is two hard elevator turns. Let's do a third one. Let's pull it back and do another one. That's 4 hard elevator turns. Look at the speed. I'm still doing over 600 kilometers per hour, and that is ridiculous. If you think this plane is probably broken in its current state, I would say you're probably right. Anyway, I did mention it had another weakness in head-ons. Well, firstly, let's look at the weakness it already has. Firstly, I have a weakness because I just can't seem to aim in head-ons at the moment. I'm going through a bit of a phase. Anyway, the elevators are at the front of the plane, which means they can be very easily hit, as has happened here. And yeah, I've lost my elevators. I'm heading straight to the ground. Here's what I was discussing though. In this one, I'm going to try and snap roll out of the way of the head-on. Again, after completely missing the target, except for a critical. There we are, one turn, and I'm into a flat spin. Now you can get out of flat spins by hitting the opposite rudder to what you'd use. So in this case I'm spinning to the right, so therefore I use left rudder, and down elevator. Although it takes a while before it wants to correct, and as you can see I've been followed down and set alight and my plane is dead. But that went to a stall spin extremely quickly. So that you cannot use a snap roll in this plane, unless you want a stall spin, of course. So that is a real weakness. That's basically the plane's only Achilles heel. Anyway, okay, here's some battle footage to show you what the plane can do in its new form. I've climbed about 4,000 meters. Its climb rate around 2,000 meters gained in 2 WEPs from a 2,000 meter spawn. Hasn't changed, flying at a speed of around 255, 260 kilometers an hour. It hit both of those bombers with absolute ease. Would have maybe hit one of them with the old flight model, but yeah, now I can adjust the aim so smoothly and so quickly between one target and the next. Another example here, I've got a P-40 hanging around a Wellington. Obviously I want to take out the P-40 first, and I want to transition quickly onto the Welly. This wouldn't be a problem in most fighters. It would have been a real problem in this plane before. I would have basically had one shot at one of these targets and that would have been it. Okay, the P-40 is climbing up. I don't want to dive at the Wellington straight off because the P-40 might get a burst at me. So I'm going to intercept the P-40 first. Easy shot. And then lift up. Nice tight loop there. And drop straight down on the welly. Easy. Okay, in this particular battle I've got total control of high altitude now. But it became a bit of a quiet battle. Everyone was just diving straight down to the deck, like that SP-2M just down there. But in this game there was a P-47 who was boom and zooming lower down. You can see him down there, R-34 Big Moon. He's just coming out of a diving attack and lifting up into a bit of a zoom climb at lower altitude. So I thought I'd pick him off with a diving attack to get him at the top of his zoom climb. And this is quite a long, deep dive. Not a problem. The plane accelerates very quickly into the dive, and I can pick him off before he even knows that I'm there, and then easily recover all the altitude that I lost in the attack. And here's another example of someone climbing at me. Previously this would have been a very cumbersome rope-a-dope involving lots of rudder. I was still going to use rudder in the attack, but I could just use elevators as well. It basically flies like many other fighters, and the roll speed's really nice here. I can very quickly adjust to his change of direction and hold guns on target with ease for another kill. So far I haven't used its improved turning abilities at all. In this one I do. Here's a 109 trying to climb up to my altitude in an air domination battle. He's well aware of my presence. Diving in on him, he's going to go into a bit of a rolling evasion. Here we go. As soon as I open fire, he starts jerking around. With my usual bad aim, I can't land a hit. No problem. Now at this point he thinks he can just turn with me and get an easy shot. No, this is the new Ascender. You're not going to win a turn fight against me, I'm afraid. I can turn far sharper. And if you're expecting the Ascender to be an easy kill like it used to be, the one you can just turn around on and get an easy hit, kill against, then you've got a surprise in store. In this other battle, again I had control of high altitude except for that B-7A2 is up there. I'd started to work my way down because not much was happening, and I thought I would perform a deep boom and zoom and then maybe even stay down at low altitude and see how well the plane performs dodging in and out around the cliffs. Simply because it's something that was totally inconceivable with the old plane's flight model. So starting with this diving attack on this lag, turns off to the left. I decide to switch onto the A6M, hoping he might turn in front of my guns, but he dropped down a little bit too much. Yeah, with the old flight model would have been straight into that cliff. Not now. There's a yak approaching at high speed round that hill, so I'll just get out of the way and then reset. Okay, still carrying plenty of speed out of that dive. There's quite a few enemies on the other side of that hill, some more coming in. I'll see if I can just pull off a bit of an ambush ducking over the top of the hill. In fact, there's two of them down there who are completely exposed now. I can just pick one of them off with a high speed intercept attack. And this is where the speed of the plane in maneuvers really comes to the fore. I don't need a huge amount of altitude to get the plane up to quite a fast speed, which then enables me just to get away and reset again. My speed's nice and high. I've got the rock for cover. There's more enemies coming in, and it looks like they're going to be furballing behind that rock. Now I could obviously go into the furball, but why do that when you can just ambush people and use your speed and keep it high? Okay, so there's a 109 there. Here's a P40. Can I get a shot at him? Just a little too slow, but I can pick up the 109. A deflection shot. He's down. So if I can get a shot at the P400, no, it's a head-on, so I'm straight out of that without a snap roll, so no chance of stalling out. And my speed's still quite high. I'll just go into a bit of a dive just to increase it. By the time I come around the other side of the rock, I'll hopefully catch someone else out who I can pick out as an easy target again. Here we go. There's the P40, and the P400's closer. He's engaging someone else. He does not see me coming. Deflection shot lining up. Guns hold nice and steady. And down he goes. So there we are, back near the hill again. Got a hurricane heading towards the middle of the battlefield. Some more enemies coming in from behind, and I'm going to stick in this little trench here, just in case someone wants to dive on me. There's all the targets over there, so I'm going to try another just sneak ambush attack, dropping over the top of the hill, picking up someone who hasn't already been engaged, like this A36. Nice and easy. And drop down and run in case someone's picked me up. And someone has. It's a BF-109E1. Probably shouldn't have performed such a sharp turn in front of him because he did manage to get guns on me, but as you can see, I would very quickly have gotten a shot at him in return if he hadn't already been picked off by friendlies. I'll just hang around in these cliffs. This reminds me of an old game I used to play actually, well before I started War Thunder. I think I posted a video on it a few months ago, a game called Moonbreakers with lots of asteroids hiding behind them and dodging around and ambushing people. It's very similar. Okay, there's a bunch of enemies just on the other side of this cliff. There's a high P-47 that might be boom and zooming, so I've got to keep an eye out for him, but for now I've got a MiG-3 I can pick up, or the P-36, one or the other. I'll go for the MiG. Okay, Orange Tracer tells me a 0 tried to pick me up there, but I've very easily spiraled out of the way of him. And down comes that P-47. That's someone else, thankfully. And here's an SB2M who's going to make himself a very easy target. And I cop a nice spray of friendly fire. There's a hurricane lurking around. I can see a lot of dots, in particular one behind me. I'm not sure if it's the SB2M that was just shot down. Yes, he just disappeared, but there's still red dots, far too close for my comfort. Can't see where they are, and I can't very well look around while I'm dodging around hills, so for the moment I'm just going evasive. If someone is attacking me, then I'll pull them off to the side where I can dogfight them with ease. See how easily I can hug that terrain, making myself a pretty much impossible target. And yep, whoever was attacking me has been pulled off. By the time I came back from that, there were hardly any enemies left. Only just a handful. They'd all suddenly started to run out of planes. Except for this A6M2, who decided for whatever reason to do a very low and prolonged dive, trying to run away from everyone. Not the best tactic in that particular plane. And he's certainly not going to get away from me in a dive. Now I've got a Sea Hurricane competing with me for the kill, He's doing an annoying side-to-side evasion, so I just keep the guns to the right so he turns into them. There we go. So, yeah, look, I could show you a lot more examples, but I think you've probably seen enough. This plane can now do a bit of everything. It can climb and dominate bomber altitude. It can fight at low altitude. It can boom and zoom at high speed. It can intercept planes. It can dogfight. There isn't much it can't do except for head-ons. That is its fatal weakness. And if you're going to engage one of these planes and it's aware of you, try and get it in a head-on, as this F6F tries to do to me. If you already own one of these planes, now is the time to make hay while the sun shines. I don't know, see I almost went into a stall spin there, I don't know how long it's going to have this flight model. It might be for a long time, it might be fixed in the very next micro patch. Who knows? I do think the flight model is broken. There's been a lot of complaints about it in realistic where it's dominating too. But yeah, if you own one of these, go out and get lots of kills. Now is the time to make up for all those many months and years of being a frustrated owner with buyer's regret. So that's all I have for you in this video. I hope you found it enjoyable. Until my next vid, I will be seeing you in the skies.